Facebook.com/969thegame.
Time to put the pedal to the floor. It's loud and live and local. Oh, time for open mic.
Happy Monday, everybody. We are live. We are live. We are local every morning, 6 to 9:30 a.m. on FM 96.9 The Game, AM 740, HD 101.1-2. You can listen to us on podcast if you don't listen to us live. If you want to watch us, we're on social media now, live and in color. Just go to YouTube, search for Open Mic Live Stream, and there we are on YouTube. You can watch us on Twitter and Twitch as well. Welcome to Open Mic. I'm Mike Bianchi, the Bulldog sports columnist of the Orlando Sentinel. Joining me, as always, is Adam Reardon. He's right over there. He's the deceptive intellect. And, of course, Austin Pastolka, he's that way. He's the Sultan of Sound.
Yeah, that's right, Mike, and let me tell you something, brother. This was the most exciting NBA weekend I've watched in a while, just seeing how all the new pieces fit together. I really enjoyed it.
You stayed up late watching the Magic Lakers last night, huh?
I absolutely did.
Yeah,
I like this new Magic team. You know, they're young, they're fiery.
Who was the guy who put up the last shot for the Magic? They could have gone for the tie.
Well, you know. Dwayne Bacon. He scored 26 last night.
And that would be Otto Porter Jr.
He only scored like 5, so why the hell was he taking the last shot?
Hold on one second. I have to share our Facebook thing here.
You can't talk and share at the same time?
Well, you know, it's that social media, all that stuff.
Mike, I'm constantly tweeting all the time. I'm tweeting right now as we speak. I'm just talking, tweeting, because I'm a multitasker.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And we are the People's Show, and we want to hear from you. It's a Game Balls and Goop Balls Monday morning. We want your Game Balls and Goop Balls from the sports weekend. You can overreact as well as an overreaction Monday morning. You can give us a call, 407-916-8255. You can tweet us at 96.9 The Game. By the way, you can also vote on all of our polls on Twitter at 96.9 The Game. You can also text us on our Academy Sports and Outdoors text line. That's 50857. Do not forget, every morning, 7:10 a.m., we give you a chance to double your stimulus. Every weekday morning, not starting today. We've been doing it for the last couple weeks, and it will continue for the next few weeks. Double your stimulus. Make an appointment 7:10 a.m. to be listening. We like to begin every show with the Open Mic Early Morning Inspirational Quote of the Day from our very favorite philosopher, the great Anonymous, who once said, and I quote, "Don't limit your challenges. Challenge your limits." End quote.
I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. Don't limit your challenges. Make sure basically say, hey, listen, don't say, and I don't want to be challenged by things, so I'm not going to attempt difficult things. Challenge your limits. What you think your limit may be, what you think you're capable of, challenge that, because that's how you're going to find greatness. Right now, your goodness. You want to find greatness.
Ooh, very nice, deceptive intellect. Very nice indeed. Much nicer than Florida State's performance last night in the Sweet 16. They get absolutely clobbered by Michigan, 76-58. FSU has now been to 3 straight Sweet 16s, but respected longtime coach Leonard Hamilton has never been able to reach a Final Four as a head coach. Here's what it sounded like yesterday.
left to right, out to Brown, 3, open right wing, got it, Sean D. Brown with 3 fingers in the air, hopping down the court. Wagner a little jab step trying to get free of Barnes. Wagner bouncing it down to Dickinson, 2-hand hammer, shaking the standard on the left side. Leonard Hamilton with a thumbs up and a point to his counterpart on the Michigan sideline. The Michigan Wolverines battled early, pulled away late, and for the 14th time in Michigan school history, the Wolverines will play in the Elite Eight.
We worked our families off, but hats off to an excellent team. And this team, if they play the way they played tonight, they're going to be hard to beat.
That was Leonard Hamilton talking about Juwan Howard's Michigan Wolverines. The Seminoles they were never in this game, really. They just played bad. I kept waiting for them to sort of make a run. Again, every advantage they might have had, they did not take advantage of. They are the tallest team in the nation. They're big at every position, and yet Michigan pounded them in the paint. Michigan scored their first 30 points of the second half from in the paint. They dominated FSU on the boards. I think they had like 9, 10 more boards than FSU. Florida State also the highest scoring team in the ACC this season. They were the best three-point shooting team in the ACC this season, but they were held under 60 points yesterday for the first time this season. They went through, I think I counted as I went through the play-by-play, I think they went through 3 different scoring droughts yesterday of at least 4 minutes, all right? They hit only 5 of 20 trays, 0 of 7, by the way, in the first half, and they didn't shoot well. They shot 40% on the day. It wasn't until like 25 seconds were left in the first half that the Seminoles actually got their 20th point of the game. And Michigan was just better. They were more aggressive. Michigan was attacking the hoop. The Seminoles are supposed to be an aggressive team. They got 6 foul shots compared to Michigan's 23. That tells you how aggressive Michigan was. So, again, everybody knows I had Florida State to win it all. I was very disappointed in the way they played yesterday. What were your thoughts on Florida State?
You know, obviously, when you get to this point in the tournament, you look up and you hope to God that you're seeing like a 7 seed or a 10 seed. That's nice. But when you're seeing the number 1 seed, listen, they're the number 1 seed for a reason. Michigan's a really good basketball team. Juwan Howard, what he's done there at that program, I was thinking about it last night as they were blowing out Florida State. Is how kind of cool, and in this industry, I think we root for our teams on the inside, but on the outside, I think we root for storylines. How awesome will it be if Juwan Howard can cut down the nets at Michigan as the coach when he came up short 2 times as a player? And, kind of that moment for him would be unbelievable. And listen, Michigan's a good basketball team. They got as good a chance as anybody, not named Gonzaga right now in my mind. And
Baylor might have something to say about that.
Yeah, Baylor's a good basketball team too. But you just look at Michigan. Michigan's a good team. And are they playing without their best player?
One of their best players, no question about it. Yeah.
So give Michigan the credit. And, sadly for Florida State, look, I watch a lot of boxing, and I'll always, kind of go back to the boxing analogies when I can. Sometimes on a night, a fighter just doesn't show up, or he gets hit in the first round with a shot that he never, ever recovers from. And that was Florida State last night. They're down early, down often, and at times down big. So, it just is for Florida State. They just unfortunately played a better team on a better night, on a night that they didn't give their best. As a matter of fact, when you look at the numbers, one of their worst nights, and that is not the night you want to play one of the top 4 teams in the country.
Yeah, and again, Michigan was playing without Isaiah Livers. They had been playing without Isaiah Livers. So Michigan, not that they were shorthanded, Michigan still has loads of talent. But Florida State, if they had been able to come up and beat Michigan, they would have been playing 11 seed UCLA in the Elite Eight with a chance to go to the Final Four. And again, Leonard Hamilton has never been to a Final Four. He's been a head coach for 34 years. I hope, he's 72 years old. He just signed a contract extension. I hope that Leonard Hamilton, you talk about what a cool story it would be for Juwan Howard to win a national championship. For as long as Leonard Hamilton has been around, and for the sort of career renaissance he's had at such a late age, I think it would be awesome if he could make the Final Four. And you know what? He may do it next year. I was looking at the recruiting rankings last night. This Florida State program is not going anywhere, by the way. As I mentioned, they've been to 3 straight Sweet 16s. Hell, they would have gone to the Sweet 16. They might have won the national championship last year had they had an NCAA tournament. That was Leonard Hamilton's best team, was last year's team. But anyway, the recruiting rankings coming in this season, next season, Florida State has the number 2 ranked recruiting class in the country, behind only, yes, Michigan. No other ACC team, by the way, in the top 10, not even Duke, in the top 10 in the for recruiting classes this coming year. So Leonard Hamilton, he's built an elite program at Florida State, has he not?
Yeah, when you say elite program in basketball,
I'm not talking about fan interest. I'm talking about a program that year in, year out is there, has a chance. You know, obviously it takes a lot of luck to win a national championship in basketball, but if you're there every year, again, 3 straight Sweet 16s, the recruit had 2 lottery picks off of last year's team, probably have a lottery pick off of this year's team, and he's bringing in the number 2 ranked recruiting class in the country. I just think that Florida State is built to last. I do.
Yeah, I mean, I think before I would, call a team elite, I think maybe as a college basketball fan, you'd like to see him make that at least one really deep run. I mean, Sweet 16s are great. And for a university that's normally based on their football success, those are great. Say elite program. Would have loved to see him knock off Michigan. And again, in this tournament, you look up and you see the 12 seed, the 11 seed in UCLA waiting for you to get beyond. I mean, this is a team that, was on a bubble, 3 weeks ago. I mean, there were people questioning whether or not UCLA would be in the tournament or not. So, unfortunately, they fell to Michigan last night, and, Leonard Hamilton's still waiting on his first opportunity in the Final Four.
Yeah, Elite 8 games tonight. Number 12 seeded Oregon State versus number 2 seed Houston. What about Houston out of the American Athletic Conference? Number 3 Arkansas versus number 1 Baylor. And then tomorrow night, the Elite 8 games, USC versus number 1 Gonzaga, which looks absolutely unbeatable. They are unbeatable. They haven't lost all season long. And then number 11 seeded UCLA takes on Michigan. That is the Elite 8 games. And then, of course, the Final Four is next weekend. Cannot wait. Got basketball all week long. How good is that? All right, up next, the father of college football in the state of Florida passed away over the weekend, and it's a shame he's not in the Hall of Fame. That's next on Open Mic.
Open Mic with Mike.
It was a sad day on Saturday for Adam Reardon and all the Miami Hurricanes fans out there when coaching legend Howard Schnellenberger passed away at the age of 87. Anybody who has followed college football in the state of Florida knows Howard was a pioneer. He escorted national college football from the dark ages into the sunshine. He took over a awful Miami program in 1979, a program bankrupt of money, bankrupt of morale, and on the verge of being shut down by school administrators, and he transformed the Miami Hurricanes into one of the greatest dynasties in modern-day college football history. Long-time college football fans. I don't know how old you were in 1983, specifically January 2nd, 1984, Adam Reardon, in the Orange Bowl. When how old were you then?
I would have been 5 years old at the time of the game.
You don't really remember the game, but Snellenberger's Hurricanes, they won the national title that night, the first national title in state of Florida history. They absolutely shocked the world by beating a seemingly invincible Nebraska Cornhuskers team. Sorry, Austin. I mean, this team was hailed as the greatest in college football history. I think they were on like a 24-game winning streak. Tom Osborne, the great Tom Osborne, was the coach. Irving Fryer, by the way, I went back and watched some of the video of the game over the week. Irving Fryer had a chance to catch not the winning touchdown pass, but the tying touchdown, or what would have been the tying touchdown pass, but he absolutely dropped it. Just dropped it in the end zone. Turner Gill put a perfect pass and he dropped it. But Nebraska, right after that, went on to score a touchdown, all right, to make the score 31-30. And Tom Osborne could have gone for the tie and likely won the national title. Nebraska would have been the only unbeaten team in the country, but they would have had one tie, of course, if he'd have gone for the tie and kicked the extra point. But he chose to go for two, and this is what it sounded like.
A touchdown now. It's a 31-30 game. And what does Nebraska do?
I have not seen the kicker come on the field, and I don't think he's coming on the field. And I think that they've got things going their way. Tom Osborne made this decision a long time ago. Don't think that this situation caught him by surprise. He's decided to go for two and take his shot and win, and I commend him for it.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska. Championship in all probability with an extra point that would have tied it. They would still finished unbeaten. But courage was so evident there. The integrity of Nebraska football and that whole state was on the line. They gambled and lost, but they're certainly to be given great credit for trying.
Oh, man. The receiver was open, too, and Miami, famous play. Miami, do you know the guy's name?
Kenny Calhoun.
Kenny Calhoun batted down Turner Gill's two-point conversion pass, and Miami pulls off one of the greatest upsets in college football history. After the game, there was still a question whether Miami was going to be the national champion or not. If you'll remember, they lost the opening game of that season to the Gators, 28-3, I think it was. They got pounded by the Gators, and they came back and win the rest of their games. Here was Miami quarterback at the time, Bernie Kosar, in the postgame, lauding Schnellenberger and sort of lobbying for the national championship.
Well, I guess it's up to the polls, but I'd say in my heart, we're number one.
Okay, Bernie Kosar.
That's the greatest coach right there.
Howard, come on over, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, when you spoke of this game, you spoke in terms not only of it being an important football game, but in terms of community.
Well, I think you could see out there in that stadium tonight what it really meant to this community and how totally involved and totally committed they were to this game tonight. This has been a love affair that's been developing for 5 years. Tonight was the fulfillment of a dream that, I say fulfillment, it might just be the beginning of a dream.
But it wasn't the beginning of it. It was the beginning of a Miami dream, but not Howard's dream. He resigned right after that season. And we've talked about this before. One of the great philosophical questions, Adam, in college football history, what would Snellenberger's legacy be had he stayed at UM after winning that national championship? Would he have won the 4 more national titles that his UM successors won? I mean, Jimmy Johnson won 1, Dennis Erickson won 2, Larry Coker won 1, Butch Davis could have won 1, or would he have won even more because they wouldn't have had the coaching transitions and the instability that comes with them in the program? I wrote this over the weekend. He would have been Nick Saban before Nick Saban. He would be the guy that has 6 or 7 national championships, perhaps. Would he not?
Well, I mean, you if that was the end of the road for him, I mean, it couldn't get any higher than that in the moment. But if you try to extrapolate that over, hey, if he spends the next 5 years at Miami, how many championships could he have won? I want to say Vernon Kozar was just a freshman that year. So,
by the way, there's a famous picture, all right, of Howard being carried off the field after that game.
Yeah,
and if you look at the picture, Jim Kelly's the guy who's in the picture. Jim Kelly was on the sideline, and he's helping carry Howard Schnellenberger off the field. A young Jim Kelly, looks like a teenager almost.
It's amazing.
Anyway,
it's amazing when you think about some of the quarterbacks that came through there early in the during Miami's earlier successful years. Obviously Howard Schnellenberger. What'd you call him? The father of college football inside the state.
The father of national championship college football in Florida. He's certainly that.
Yeah, he could. I mean, what he could have been, had he had stayed, I guess I guess. I know we'll never know, but for Miami, when they look back on it, they moved from Howard Schnellenberger to Jimmy Johnson. Things worked out. I'll be honest, because as you brought up the question, which is going to be our thought-provoking daily poll today, but I could make the case for Jimmy Johnson being more impactful to college football than Howard Schnellenberger.
I would disagree with that for one reason. Right? Way back when Tommy Tuberville was still coaching college football and he wasn't a U.S. senator, right? I asked him. It was when Howard retired. Several years ago. I asked him Howard's legacy, and he says Howard Schnellenberger changed the way college football was played. He's the guy who put the wall around South Florida recruiting, called it the state of Miami, really recruited speed. Tommy Tuberville said he took wide receivers and made linebackers out of them. His whole philosophy was to put players on the field who could run, and that Jimmy Johnson just carried on that tradition in my eyes.
Yeah. So, Howard definitely locked down South Florida, but I always read that it was Jimmy who said, listen, our philosophy is we're going to take corners and make them safeties, safeties make them outside linebackers move them inside linebackers move them to end, move ends into tackles, and we are going to have the speed advantage over every team we play. And that's why, Schnellenberger eked out that win against Nebraska. When Jimmy Johnson and Miami, he really had it rolling. They would bludgeon Nebraska, during Jimmy's time there, and just the speed was too much for the power of Nebraska. It was a great counterpunch to what it was Nebraska and Oklahoma were doing at the time.
Okay, we're going to continue our conversation about Howard Schnellenberger, get to our thought-provoking daily poll next on Open Mic.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
By the way, Austin Pistolka, even though you weren't even born yet, we just played the clips of the 1984 Orange Bowl where Nebraska legend, the icon Tom Osborne, chose to go for 2. Are you still contending that was the right decision?
Absolutely.
Oh, God.
Of course. Even in the moment, everyone said it was the right decision.
That's because the college football analysts back then especially were homers. They didn't question the coaches back then.
Was that Don Crickey? Don Crickey would never.
Yeah. What courage to go for 2.
It just goes to show, Mike,
it cost
that
your team a chance at the national championship.
It just goes to show that you don't want to win things the right way. Okay? You're trying to undermine.
Take shortcuts?
Absolutely. And last I checked, all of your inspirational quotes are about putting in the work, doing things the right way.
Yeah, you put yourself in position for the ultimate goal. And he did. He did things the right way, put himself in position for the ultimate goal, the national championship.
And sometimes you fall short.
Hey, listen, in that game, Tom Osborne didn't limit his challenges. He challenged his limits.
That's right.
Came up short by hand of Kenny Calhoun. We found out what his limit was. His limit was just to tie that game, not to win that game. He challenged that limit, but failed. So sorry.
So I did some research. I did a column on Howard Schnellenberger over the weekend. You can still find that, by the way, at OrlandoSentinel.com.
Cheap plug.
So, yeah, Howard Schnellenberger left Miami after the 83 season, winning the national championship. And he took a job with the USFL. Got a huge contract at the time, all right? $3 million contract to be the part owner, the general manager, and the head coach of the Miami team in the USFL. They were going to move the team. They were going to be called the Spirit of Miami, and they were going to relocate from Washington, D.C., where they were the Washington Federals. However, the USFL at the time, at the urging of powerful, persuasive New Jersey Generals owner Donald Trump, name ring a bell, announced that it was shifting to a fall schedule to compete with the National Football League. Well, the owner of the Washington franchise, he said, hold on here. I don't want to go to Miami and go head-to-head with the popular Miami Dolphins. So he backed out of the deal, and the Washington franchise instead moved to where? Orlando. And Snellenberger said, I'm not coaching Orlando. I was hired to coach Miami. So Snellenberger backed out and ended up coaching at Louisville a year later, the University of Louisville a year later. And Lee Corso became the coach of the short-lived Orlando Renegades, and the USFL folded a year later. And Howard Schnellenberger was asked many times over the years, including once by me, if he ever wondered why did he make the decision to go to the USFL. And his quote to me was, yeah, it was a horse bleep decision. And he would go on to say, if you look at it objectively, it was the dumbest thing a human being could do. He got no money out of it either. The $3 million contract, obviously, because he didn't go coach the team in Orlando, and then the league folded. So the league left everybody holding the bag and owing a bunch of people money. Here's the joke, though. Here's what's a joke. Howard Schnellenberger, again, the father of winning national championships in the state of Florida. After he won one, the floodgates opened. And then, as we mentioned, Jimmy Johnson won one. Dennis Erickson won two. Larry Coker won another at Miami. And that's just at Miami. After Howard, Bobby Bowden won a couple. Steve Spurrier won one. Urban Meyer won a couple. Jimbo Fisher won one. And let's not forget Scott Frost also won one. All right? If you want to count the UCF national championship. But Howard Schnellenberger is not in the Hall of Fame. He's not in the College Football Hall of Fame. And the reason is because the Hall of Fame changed its criteria several years ago to say or mandate that coaching candidates have to have at least 10 seasons, which Howard did, have at least 100 I'm sorry, coached at least 100 games, which Howard did, but they have to have a 600 winning percentage, all right? And Howard only won 51% of his games. Why is that? Because he took over a bunch of moribund programs at Miami. As I mentioned, they were terrible. Louisville was terrible when he took over. And then he took over the FAU program, built that from scratch at a commuter school. Isn't it a joke that Howard Schnellenberger is not in the Hall of Fame?
I want winners.
Yeah, there's. It's one of those. It's one of those things that's
funny, Austin. That's funny
for Snellenberger. And you look at the situations he took over. I mean, you're starting in the starting blocks like a mile back of everybody else. And really kind of what screwed him over is the decision he made. I mean, as if not being one of the great college football coaches of all time at one of the great programs that, and winning national. I mean, historically, it cost him. Because think about Bobby Bowden. Bobby Bowden took over a program or started a program.
Similar to what
Miami was. You think about Joe Paterno. I mean, all these guys. Frank Beamer. I mean, if Frank Beamer would have left right as Virginia Tech was getting good, and then took a junk job, and then had to take a job at a junk university, people wouldn't think of Frank Beamer as like a great college football coach that built a program from nothing into something because he stuck around. Howard Schnellenberger's decision to leave, he probably put it best. What a horse! It was a horse bleep decision on his part. What? Because it did screw him. Because if he'd have stuck around Miami for 6 more years, then yes, he's over that 600 winning percentage. He's not having to build programs from scratch where you take your lumps and you ended up with more losses than wins more times than not. Even when he was at Oklahoma for a little bit, right?
1 year.
Yeah,
1 year.
And that wasn't.
He was 500. I think there were rumors that he was drinking on the job or something.
Yeah, reminiscing of the time he left that job at Miami. I need another drink.
All right, we have a couple of a couple of polls on Howard Schnellenberger. We have the thought-provoking daily poll with the passing of Miami Hurricanes legend Howard Schnellenberger over the weekend. Who was the most impactful college football coach in Sunshine State history? Your choices are Howard Schnellenberger, Bobby Bowden, of course, at Florida State, Steve Spurrier at Florida, and the great Jake Gaither, who coached Florida A&M to multiple black college national championships in the days before integration. That's one of the polls. The other one is a supplemental poll, number one. Even though Schnellenberger won only 51% of his games, should he be in the College Football Hall of Fame? Go vote on those polls and all of our polls at 96.9 The Game. All right, straight ahead, it's time for some game balls and goof balls. I'm giving Nick Vuchevich a game ball for being sad about leaving Orlando, but I'm not giving Aaron Gordon a goof ball. I'm not giving Aaron Gordon a goof ball for being ecstatic about leaving Orlando. That's next on Open Mic.
What does Mike Bianchi and the balls and goofballs on Open Mic.
All right, we want your game balls and goofballs from the sports weekend. You can text them in to 50857. You can give us a call, 407-916-8255. You can tweet us at 969thegame as well. All right, I'll get it as well before I get started. Do not forget at 7:10 a.m. this morning and every morning, we give you a chance to double your stimulus. You can win an extra $1,400 right here on Open Mic. Again, that's 7:10 a.m. every morning. So make an appointment. Make an appointment to win some money. All right? I gave Florida State a goofball earlier. I don't need to go into that. They were my pick to win the national championship. You saw what happened to them against Michigan. They got clobbered. They played terribly. Even though they're the biggest team in the country, they got pounded in the paint by Michigan. So I'm giving them a goofball, although I am giving Leonard Hamilton a game ball for he's built an elite program that's not going anywhere. Florida State will be they'll probably be right back in the Sweet 16 again next year for the fourth consecutive year. And hell, they might win it all next year. They have the number 2 ranked recruiting class in the country coming in next year. No other team in the ACC. God, I was looking at this. North Carolina, they have like the 42nd ranked recruiting class in the country coming in next year. Florida State, number 2. Hell, they might win the national championship next year. If they'd have played last year, they'd have probably won it last year. So, again, but it takes a lot of luck to win the national championship. All right, I'm ready to make a declaration. Game ball to Gonzaga. They have blown out everybody in the tournament. They blew out Creighton yesterday, 83-65. All right, I'm ready to concede. I'll take Gonzaga now.
Whoa, no, whoa.
The field just got cut in half.
No, Mike.
Yeah.
Gonzaga was my pick. I don't want you anywhere near them.
Yeah.
No.
Gonzaga.
You kidding
I'll
me?
take them against the rest of the Elite Eight. Absolutely. Yeah. So. Also, how about a game ball for Houston, huh? In fact, I do have Houston in my Final Four out of the American Athletic Conference. How about a game ball for the American Athletic Conference? Didn't Memphis win the NIT over the weekend?
Yeah, knocked off Mississippi State, I believe.
Yeah, so Penny Hardaway's Memphis team wins the NIT, and Houston's still in the running. What are you laughing at?
Well, I mean, I always think of the NIT. I wonder if like those guys going, yeah, we're number 69 or 60 or number 70. We're number 70, baby. We're the best team that didn't get invited to that big 68 team tournament. We're number 69.
What do they say what do they say NIT stands for? There used to be a nobody's interested tournament. Yeah, nobody's interested tournament. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm gonna give a game ball to Vuch, Nikola Vuchevich, Orlando Magic Center. You know, he talked on our show and he talked many times about how much pride he took in wearing that Orlando Magic uniform and representing the city of Orlando. Those feelings clearly showed on Saturday. Vuch, the 2-time All-Star, obviously was traded last week to the Chicago Bulls. All right, so he had a press availability after his first shoot-around in Chicago. The Bulls were in San Antonio. They had a shoot-around, and Vuch had a Zoom call with reporters. I want you to listen to Vuch's emotional reaction when Josh Robbins of The Athletic asked him his feelings about leaving Orlando. I wish you could see the video and watch the emotion that Vuch showed, but of course you can't do that on radio. Anyway, here's what it sounded like.
I know you're excited to be in Chicago and join the Bulls. That's obvious, but could you describe, if it exists, any element of sadness to be moving on from Orlando?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm getting emotional now, but like I said, when I was, when I wrote that text, it was very difficult for me to do that, but it was just, sorry. I mean, to me, the hardest part was just, to me, the hardest part was just the people. Over 9 years, you're going to meet a lot of, great people, and that was just the hardest for me, just even, that place. Obviously, it meant a lot to me, and like I said, I came there as a kid, left as a man, so I guess you guys know the answer with my reaction, but it just leaving that place after so many years obviously was hard.
I got to tell you, I've watched that video like 3 or 4 times. I get misty-eyed and choked up every time. If you watch the video, he keeps pausing to take sips of water so he can gather his emotions. And remember the other day when we were talking about whether it was good that the Magic, started over, and I was telling you guys, hey, you don't quite understand Magic fans and their emotional connection to Vooch and vice versa. That's what I was talking about. That video is what I'm talking about. And there's never been an all-star player who wanted to stay in Orlando. Not Shaq, not Dwight, not T-Mac, not Penny. All left town on bad terms. And Vooch, you could tell he wanted to stay.
Oh, wait. Remember on Friday I asked you, do you think that knowing that these other guys were getting traded that Vooch reached out to Jeff Weltman? You didn't feel like when you asked Jeff Weltman that, when he gave you the answer that, hey, you got to take the temperature of the players too, you didn't get the sense, the feeling that Vooch was okay with being traded at that point?
I thought Jeff Weltman sort of deferred on the answer.
But I thought he hinted that.
He hinted at it, but again, if I'm judging by Jeff Weltman's response to a question and Nick Vuchevich's response to a question, I'm going with Vooch wanted to stay. That's what I'm going with.
I don't know.
I'm sure that Vooch is like in his mind, the perfect scenario was going to be, hey, let's build Orlando to where.
Right.
But once the organization says, listen, your 2 buddies are gone, your best buddy is gone, and Aaron Gordon's going to be gone. This is a rebuild, and you can. I think he was okay to leave.
I still think he wanted to stay. He might have been okay with leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Vooch is never going to create. I mean, hell, he's not going to create any waves, for crying out loud. That's not his style. But if you want to say he was okay with leaving, I think he would have been okay with staying as well.
Yeah,
is all I'm saying.
I agree.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree with that.
Okay. A lot of Magic fans want to give Aaron Gordon a goofball, all right? Because Aaron Gordon addressed the media over the weekend for the first time since being traded to the Denver Nuggets, and his reaction to leaving Orlando, vastly different than Nick Vuchevich's. In fact, here's what his video comment sounded like.
It's been real stressful. It's just a huge relief to be a part of a great organization. And I'm just happy that I found a new home. It was tough. Like, I was just so ready to pick up my phone from my agent, So any call I would get, regardless of who it was, I was thinking I was being traded.
Okay. So that was Aaron Gordon saying, any call I got, I was thinking I was being traded. And it sounds like he didn't care where he got traded to me.
Well, I told Austin, where did I tell you he was going to end up?
Denver.
I told him he was going to end up in Denver, in Colorado.
Yeah.
Where some of the laws are a little bit more flexible with things.
This way he can play a little bit looser.
Yeah. This guy can get way above the rim.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
I'm flying high today, brother.
I thought it was funny. He's like, man, it was so stressful. I'm looking at my phone thinking, every time it rings, it's my agent and I'm about to be traded. Well, that's probably what's going to happen when, I don't know, you request to be traded. You may get that call. I hate to stress you out over this, but when you request a trade, you may, in fact, get the trade that you had just previously requested.
Now, a lot of Magic fans on social media thought that when he said, "Hey, I'm relieved to be part of a quote great organization," that was a shot at the Magic. We have a poll about this, but again, I don't really see anything that Aaron Gordon said there that was offensive, really. I mean, you are what your record says you are, and the Magic haven't been a great organization since Aaron Gordon's been here. Now, was he part of the issues? Yeah, but I mean, he is with a better organization right now. The Denver Nuggets are one of the best teams in the Western Conference. They reached the finals, the Western Conference Finals last year. They made the playoffs, 2 or 3 straight seasons. They're going to make it this year. So is anything he said offensive?
I would say this, that are the Denver Nuggets a better team today? Yes. Are they a better organization? What have the Denver Nuggets done as an organization to make you think, hey, this is a great NBA organization? It's not the Lakers. It's not the Celtics, which is understandable.
They've never been to the finals.
No.
The Magic have been to the finals twice.
Yeah, I mean, they had Carmelo Anthony and didn't do anything with him. George Karl was there at one point. They had Dikembe Mutombo blocking shots. But I do think it was a bit of a shot at the Magic organization as a whole. Like, hey, it's great to be here, part of this great and I'm looking around going, if this is a great organization, you might have passed out if you got traded to the Lakers. You didn't know what to do with yourself. Something like that. I mean, it's not a great organization. I thought it was a little bit of a shot on the way out at the Magic. But again, I mean, he scored 13 in his debut. And all I would tell Denver fans is, listen, if you can get that every night, be happy.
Take it.
Yeah, take it. That's really what you're looking for.
All right, let's pause for station identification.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach. Listen live on iHeartRadio. Now. No, seriously, do it now.
Hey, before we get too far away from Aaron Gordon, I do want to give him a goofball for his number change.
What did he go to?
He changed it to number 50 because he is Mr. 50 in the dunk contest. He has more 50-point dunks than anyone in the history of the dunk contest.
God,
so he
still
changed.
hung up
That's
on the dunk
thing.
contest.
That's why Aaron Gordon. He's not focused on basketball.
No, he's building his brand.
He's building his brand, and so Nugget fans, he did this in Orlando. He's going to do it in Denver too.
Was number 2 taken in Denver? Because that's where he finishes in the dunk contest. In second place. He should have had that instead. He's one of those guys that has to buy the number 2 from a teammate. Hey, can I want to give a game ball. Can I give a game ball to Francis Ngannou, who knocked out Stipe Miocic this weekend?
Yeah, tell me his story. He's like an African refugee or something.
There was a time where Mike Tyson was just the scariest human being on earth because he would hit people in the heads and they would fall asleep like immediately. Francis Ngannou is that in the world of MMA.
What is he, like 260, right?
260, but like I'm trying to think of like
all muscle
260, not like 260. Yeah. Look at this guy, could probably be about 250 if he takes it real serious. No, he's 260 and he takes it serious.
And that's as low as he can get, 260.
Man, this guy hits people, and it's scary looking when he hits people because you're like, oh my God, I don't know if that guy's going to survive it. They should probably make special rules.
What about his story? Didn't he have to escape like his country? And
I don't know his backstory. All I know is this. If I were trying to keep him somewhere, he wouldn't have to escape from me. He'd be like, "Let me out." And I'm like, "Oh, freeze! Yeah, please go."
There's the door.
But he won the heavyweight title in the UFC this weekend, and I want to say he fought for it once before. At least had been sort of knocking on the door, and then sort of fell off. But he is. I mean, boxing became very popular like when I was younger because people like knockout artists and stuff like that. Well, if you like guys who knock people out, this is your guy. He's gonna put you in a little toe hold leg submission. That ain't his game. His game is my fist, your face, night time. And that's what happened. Won by knockout here in the second round this weekend. And then can I give a goofball?
He left Cameroon as a refugee and had to essentially was again just living on the streets almost. And he's only been fighting for 4 years, I guess, in UFC. And he's unbelievable.
Let me say that there are people in his wake Like probably when he was a teenager, go, no. He's been fighting for a lot more time than just 4 years. I can assure you of this. I want to give.
I hope you're going to give a goofball to the U.S. men's national team in soccer.
I want to give it to a guy who's probably gotten goofballs here on the show before, Jason Kreis. Who is the head? I didn't even know he was the coach. He's the head coach of the U.S. men's national under 23 team.
Under 23.
Under 23 team, which is the Olympic team, where the team that's trying to qualify for the Olympics. They lost 2-1 to Honduras yesterday, knocking them out of being in the Olympics for the third straight Olympics cycle.
Now, he's not been the coach the whole time, though.
Not of the last 3 runs, no.
Yeah,
but he's the coach now. I mean, he's the guy holding the bag at this moment. And the second goal, if you watched it on SportsCenter, it's probably been number 1 in the not top 10. The goalkeeper goes to pass the ball to one of the defenders, and the pass just gets cut off by the striker. The ball bounces off his foot and goes right into the goal. It's terribly embarrassing. And frankly, us not making the Olympics at the U23 level 3 Olympic cycles in a row is that's inexcusable. Pitiful. It's really. I mean, maybe the entire organization. Maybe with all due respect to Jason Kreis, maybe just take it back and go. U.S. men's national program, U.S. soccer as a whole deserves a goofball because no way we should ever not qualify for the Olympics. With the kind of money we dump into, the kind of money parents, and I know firsthand, dump into soccer in this country. Absolutely unbelievable.
By the way, what about Jason Kreis's quote after the loss? Obviously, we're devastated, absolutely devastated. In our locker room, the guys are like, it's a tragedy, end quote. First of all, it's not a tragedy, okay? It's not a tragedy that we have a bad U.S. men's soccer team, all right? It's unfortunate, but it's not a tragedy.
It's a tragedy for them.
Inexcusable. I mean, it's just, I don't know how much longer we can go in a country that funds things the way we fund it. Look, we can send people to the moon, but we can't beat Honduras in soccer. Come on, what is going on here?
What do you got, Austin? You got any game balls?
I do. I have a game ball that's near and dear to my heart. Rest in peace to Blade Braxton, a.k.a. Midnight Rose. He was a real mentor to me when I was in college and traveling in the Midwest for pro wrestling. He was a manager for a number of different wrestlers, and he would travel with us. He really
was he one of those managers who would pull something out of the and hand it to one of his
absolutely
wrestlers.
Mr. Fitness 2 and him would hit people with a shake weight.
With a foreign object.
A shake weight?
A shake weight.
Oh my God, it's fantastic.
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. So lifetime game ball to him. He was a host of one of the longest running wrestling podcasts, Wrestle Crap Radio. He wrote books. He starred in trauma films. Blade Braxton, rest in peace, man. Thanks so much for everything that you did for me.
Oh, that's nice, Austin. Personal game ball.
Guy insulated wrestling criticism with like a rest in peace moment. Now I'm like having to hold back from my wrestling.
That's right. Absolutely. Bubble wrap.
Let me finish my banana while we move on to something else.
How about a game ball for playoff Lenny, huh? Leonard Fournette coming back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He re-signed with the Buccaneers over the weekend on a 1-year deal worth $3.5 million. Shows me 2 things, all right? Playoff Lenny liked being one of the main cogs on a Super Bowl winning team, and there's no market out there for running backs, all right? Which I've said for years now. They are a dime a dozen. Leonard Fournette's a good running back, and there's really not a big market out there. So he settles for a 1-year deal, $3.5 million from the Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers, I believe the Buccaneers now have every starter returning from their Super Bowl winning team. That rarely happens. I wonder when the last time that happened. Maybe back in the days before free agency, right?
Probably at least one of those New England teams, because this is the recipe. Tom Brady takes so little money that there's enough money on the table for everybody else. This is why that guy's been so successful. I would have this argument with anybody, anytime, anywhere. It's not that Tom Brady's a better quarterback than any quarterback who's ever walked the face of this planet. It's that he was the least greedy. He was the least greedy quarterback of any quarterback who's ever walked the face of this planet. While the other guys are going, I want a max deal. I want all the money. He said, I'm going to take some of the money, and I'm going to leave money for this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, and we can put ourselves a hell of a team together. Where other guys end up that 1 or 2 years, they're really successful, and then by year 3, 4, and 5, when that backloaded contract kicks in, he's got nobody to throw to. He's got nobody to hand to. Nobody's blocking for him. And they're in big trouble.
That's easy to do when your wife is richer than you are.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, listen, you have to read when Tom Brady goes into the NFL Hall of Fame, Gisele Bundchen's bank account needs to be like an asterisk next to it.
Listen, NFL quarterbacks, marry up, okay?
Yeah, that's it. Come on.
Yeah, they should have a bronze of her bank account, a bronzing of her bank account right there beside Tom Brady's bust.
This is her Louis Vuitton purse, and this helped. The money in here helped all the teams he ever played for.
Real quick, a goofball to you know how much I hate the NBA business model where, hey, if you're mediocre to bad, you just have to tank and hope beyond hope that you can get great draft picks and you sell your fans an inferior product. Did you see what the Oklahoma City Thunder did over the weekend? So they have Al Horford on their roster. Right? Al Horford, still a good player. He's a 5-time All-Star. They announced that Al Horford is not going to play anymore this year. Not going to play the final 28 games. Not because he's hurt. No. They're just not playing Al Horford for 28 games. Because they want to tank and they want to get their young players. Can you imagine a business model where the customers are supposed to pay? And again, I realize this is a weird year, but it's not just this year. The customers have to pay full price to see a bunch of garbage out on the floor. You're not even seeing your best player on the floor.
Time out. When did teams get so honest? Why not come up with a fake injury? Oh, Al Horford, man.
Their excuse is they don't want to risk him getting injured because that would hurt his...
Just say he's injured. Like, who's checking in on this?
I think that's against NBA rules to make up injuries. I think. Yes.
I don't know. Well, he's been in the league long enough. I'm sure there's something nagging at him that they could be like, oh, man, today it's his left knee. Oh, he's got some elbow pain he's working through today.
That's why this country needs a promotion relegation, Mike. I mean,
I totally agree with that. Yeah, you've sold me on that with stories like this.
Oklahoma City drops down, and here comes the Lakeland Magic, who won the G League. That's it. The Lakeland Magic. Lakeland.
All right, straight ahead, it's the sound off coming your way on Open Mic. But first, do not go anywhere. We have your chance right now to double your stimulus.
Your chance to
I know they're not actually called the Zags. Okay.
Yeah, but that's what everybody calls them. Who's left? Baylor's left, obviously. Baylor is the number 2 overall seed. But I got to tell you, the way Gonzaga is playing right now, good God, they are blowing out everybody offensively, defensively. They are a complete team. And here's the other thing. I'm with Mark Few. I don't think this Gonzaga team says, we have to. Well, we have a chance to be the first team since 1976 in the Indiana Hoosiers to finish unbeaten. He's right. Right now, everybody's feeling the pressure. Florida State certainly felt the pressure yesterday when they were playing Michigan and got blown out. So I don't think Gonzaga is under any more pressure than any of the other teams remaining in the tournament. The only team that I don't think is feeling a lot of pressure right now, or one of the few teams, is UCLA. I mean, they were in a play-in game to even get into the field, and they ended up beating Michigan State, and they're an 11 seed, and they're in the Elite 8 now. They beat Alabama over the weekend. But Baylor's the one team I think that's left that could beat Gonzaga, but I don't think that's going to happen now.
Sound off. When our guys come back, and that's my job, I'm going to beat the out of them. We're going back to basics, and we're going to have one hell of a training camp and know what our foundation is.
Bruce Arians letting it fly once again. He's saying we're going back to the basics, man. We've won a Super Bowl, but we can't get too complicated. We got to go back to basics. How do you feel about all this coach speak from Bruce Arians, Adam?
Well, I mean, that's the only bit of coach speak you really get from Bruce Arians. We're going back to the basics. Hey, listen, you'll just keep doing what you did last year, and hopefully it still works. I mean, they've got almost the entire band back together for that Super Bowl run, and they're going to try to run it back again. And why would you change anything? I mean, what is there to change at this point? So I think it's the one time the coach speak is actually true. Yeah, no, they're going to keep it as basically meaning we're not changing anything. We're not doing anything funky this year. We're going to try to run it with the guys that we ran it with the first year and see if we can do it the second year.
Sound off.
They're getting acclimated, I mean, they both did some good things, and, I mean, it's hard. They just got here, so, I mean, we'll be able to play better as we practice more. But the reality is, if we do basic things that we should be able to do, regardless of how long they've been there, we win the game, and that's what we have to learn from tonight.
Magic head coach Steve Clifford talking about the newbies coming in from Otto Porter Jr. to R.J. Hampton. They debuted last night in a loss to the Lakers, a close loss, one that nobody really expected. Mike, what do you think about this new look young Magic team one night in?
Well, again, I was asleep last night. I only watched the highlights this morning. But again, this is the rest of this season, and Steve Clifford knows it, all right? This season is about, we just talked about the Oklahoma City Thunder telling Al Horford to sit down for the rest of the season so the young guys can play. Well, the Magic don't have to do that because they've traded all their veterans, all right? So this season is about playing the young guys. You mentioned Otto Porter Jr. He missed a game-tying 3 at the end last night, but not even about him. This is about the Wendell Carter Jr.'s and the R.J. Hamptons, the other young the Mo Bambas on the Magic, the Magic roster, Shumo Kiki. This is about getting those players playing time, seeing how they develop, and losing games. Let's face it, they're going to lose a bunch. They were losing a bunch of games even when they had their veterans. They're really going to lose now, and you know what? I think they're okay with that for the rest of this season because, again, you're trying to get as high a draft pick as possible.
I want to throw something out there real quick. So I shared this on Instagram. The Orlando Magic Young Core, they have 7 players under the age of 23. Jonathan Isaac, Cole Anthony, R.J. Hampton, Mark Helfelt, Shumo Kiki, Wendell Carter Jr., and Mo Bamba. I mean, future's bright, right? It's got to be, right?
No, doesn't have to be.
You hope it would be.
I mean, you hope the future's bright. You hope those guys develop. But, I mean, we've been through this ad nauseum. There are no certainties with Isaac and Fultz coming back. Chumo Kiki, again, he's just playing this season. Mo Bamba, I mean, so far, you'd have to say he's been a draft bust. So
he had 11 and 7 last night.
Okay.
Getting some more time in there.
Yeah, but no, the future. There's no certainties that the future's bright. Not even close.
The 17-game schedule, I think, will work out well. Obviously, this year will be the first year for it, so we'll get a chance to see how it goes. But I think we'll reduce the preseason by one game. It will be a similar kind of schedule, just in terms of the calendar, but we'll just turn one of the preseason games into a regular season game, which I think all of us would appreciate that. So I feel good about it. I hope it works, and look forward to seeing how it does in 2021.
That's Art Rooney talking about the 17-game schedule. It's going to be great. Of course it will be. Adam, what do you think?
I mean, you're asking me. I'm a football fan. I'm a sports fan. So, yes, one extra game, another game that matters, that counts, that we care about. Because I'll tell you this. If you're telling me we trade as fans a preseason game for a regular season game, show me the fan that goes, you know what I've had too much in my life? Football. Too much football going on in my life that matters, that I enjoy watching. I want to meet that person so I know for a fact that I don't want to be friends with that person. Okay? More football, better football.
The players aren't happy about it. Alvin Kamara put out a tweet yesterday. This is dumb as hell. Blah blah blah. But again, the owners were granted the ability to expand by what? The collective bargaining agreement with the players. So if the players want to be mad at somebody, be mad at your union. Don't be mad at ownership for wanting to make more money and have more meaningful games, as Adam just pointed out. So
that's sound off for today.
That is the sound off for today. What are we going to talk about when we come back? We'll get back to a little more college basketball. Also, I want to get back into there's one other question I wanted to ask about Howard Schnellenberger. That's coming up next on Open Mic.
More Open Mic up next.
Yankee, the Bulldog sports columnist of the Orlando Sentinel, wrote a column last night after Florida State. God, what happened to the Noles last night? Were they ever in that game? Were they ever in that game last night? They got absolutely annihilated.
Pretty sure it was tied when it started.
Yeah, I was gonna say when they tipped it off, Mike, they were in that game.
yeah, but man, Michigan just ran them out of the gym, and it wasn't that Michigan was red hot and hitting all their shots. It's just that Florida State, man, they just did not show up last night. And Michigan, don't get me wrong. As Adam pointed out, Michigan's a good team. They're a number 1 seed for a reason, but they were missing one of their better players in Isaiah Livers, all right? And Florida State, man, what happened to Florida State's offense? What happened to their offense last night? Do we have the highlights from the game last night, Austin? Can you get those real quick? Get the highlights from last night.
Left to right, out to Brown, 3, open right wing, got it, Shawnee Brown with 3 fingers in the air, hopping down the court. Wagner, a little jab step trying to get free of Barnes. Wagner bouncing it down to Dickinson, 2-hand hammer, shaking the standard on the left side. Leonard Hamilton with a thumbs up and a point to his counterpart on the Michigan sideline. The Michigan Wolverines battled early, pulled away late, and for the 14th time in Michigan school history, the Wolverines will play in the Elite Eight.
We worked our asses off, but hats off to an excellent team. And this team, if they play the way they played tonight, they're going to be hard to beat.
Okay, that was Leonard Hamilton. I feel bad for Leonard Hamilton. I mean, again, in a relative sense, I feel bad for Leonard Hamilton. Would we all agree Leonard Hamilton's one of the good guys in the profession? I mean,
yes.
Does anybody dislike Leonard Hamilton? I don't think so. All right. So, but Leonard Hamilton has been coaching for 34 years. 34 years. And he's never been to a Final Four. And it's sad to me that, again, last year, he probably had his best team. They had 2 lottery picks on that team last year. They won the ACC regular season championship for the first time in school history. And they didn't get a chance to play in the NCAA tournament, and we all know why, because COVID canceled the tournament. So, last year he didn't get to play for it. This team this year was erratic. I mean, they were still a good team, but they were erratic. They were inconsistent. Hell, they lost to UCF earlier this season. UCF had a terrible year this year. So it's been an erratic year for Florida State. The good part for the Seminoles is, and I can't stress this enough, what Leonard Hamilton has built at Florida State at the latter stages of his career. And we've talked a lot about Leonard Hamilton went his first 6 years at Florida State without even making the NCAA tournament. And there were a lot of Florida State fans who wanted him fired, but they were patient. They held on to him. And now here we are 2 decades later, and Leonard Hamilton, 72 years old, has built, you can call it what you want, all right? Like I call it an elite basketball program. A lot of people think an elite basketball program is a program that, wins national championships and goes to Final Fours. Like I mentioned, Leonard Hamilton's never been to a Final Four. But he's at least knocking on the door over the last 3 or 4 years. Sweet 16s for 3 straight years. Last year, as I mentioned, would have been 4 straight years because, again, they were going to probably be a 1 seed last year, maybe a 2 seed. But And again, look at what it used to be Leonard Hamilton was in the shadows of Billy Donovan. Would you agree with that, Adam Reardon?
Oh, there's no question.
Yeah, he was in the shadows of Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan was the guy who got the top recruits in the state of Florida and who got the McDonald's All-Americans and all of that. Now look who's recruiting these McDonald's All-Americans. It's not Florida. It's not Mike White. It's Florida State. I mean, Leonard Hamilton's recruiting has upgraded significantly. And he gets these guys in his program, and he has a system, and these guys develop, and he somehow convinces them, hey, you don't have to score 17, 18, 20 points a game. You can score 10 or 11 points a game and still become a lottery pick, because that's what happened last year. That's what's going to happen this year. And again, I think the world of Leonard Hamilton. I just wish he would make a Final Four and have a chance to experience that. By the way, you think Florida State fans are obviously disappointed with how their team played yesterday. You think Florida State fans are complaining and wanting to fire the coach like Gaither fans are?
No, because they lost to the number 1 seed. They held their seeding. They did what they were supposed to do, get to the Sweet 16. And unfortunately for them, they played against one of the top 4 teams in the country, and that's all you can ask for. If you're not going to get the road paved in gold, like with another 12 seed in front of you, had they had won this game and gotten to the Elite Eight, they'd have been disappointed had they had lost there, because they'd have been playing an 11 seed in UCLA. But when you lose to Michigan, it's not that bad.
What was Oral Roberts again? A 15 seed?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that 15 seed, all right, that beat the Gators, they also pulled the major upset in the first round. And hell, I thought they were going to win Saturday. Did you watch any of that game?
No.
They were within a missed shot at the end of winning that game on Saturday. I mean, they lose. They barely lose to third seeded Arkansas, 72-70. And again, Oral. There was no shame in losing to Oral Roberts this year or this tournament. Now, obviously, they didn't have a great season, but they got hot in the tournament, and they were good. They were good come tournament time. So, anyway, again, Leonard Hamilton, number 2 recruiting class in the country, coming back. Florida State's going to be back in the tournament next year unless something drastic happens. The bottom somehow falls out of the program. But I don't see that happening. In fact, I would say, we'll get Mark Daniels' opinion on this. I would say Florida State, they might be favored to win the ACC next year. Right?
Yeah, probably. A lot of those season predictions are based on your recruiting class. I mean, guys you have coming back, guys that end up leaving the program. I mean, obviously you think about Carolina and Duke. Carolina, I know, had one player at least transfer out. Don't know what Duke's situation is, but you look where Florida State is right now, knowing that they have the number 2 recruiting class coming in. Seems like if their name was Duke, and they had 3 straight Sweet 16s and they had the number 2 recruiting class, we would definitely be saying they'd be this favorite to win the ACC next year.
Here's the top recruiting classes in the country, according to 247sports.com. Michigan, number 1. They have 6 signings, all right? Florida State, number 2. Villanova, number 3. Kentucky, number 4. Memphis, number 5. Michigan State, number 6. Baylor, number 7. UConn, number 8. Georgetown, number 9. USC, number 10, all right? Then you have to go all the way to, all right, other than Florida State, the number 1 ranked recruiting class in the ACC, or the second highest recruiting class in the ACC. You want to take a guess?
Miami.
No.
It's got to be Duke, right?
No.
Virginia Tech.
Georgia Tech is ranked 15th.
Georgia Tech?
Yeah.
You're too young to remember when Georgia Tech was good in basketball.
That is correct.
And then Miami at 19, all right? And then NC State at 21, and Nebraska at 25.
Let's go, baby!
Right?
Nebraska's got a better recruiting class than Duke in basketball?
28. Duke, 28.
That's right. Nebraska ball, baby. Coming back.
Nebraska ball. Of course, Gonzaga's 33rd, so shows you what recruiting rankings.
How about I was watching.
Where are the Gators at? Where are the Gators?
Well, the Gators better have a really big recruiting class. I mean, their players are there's like a mass exodus up there.
I have to press load more to get to the Gator recruiting.
You're in the load more. That's like being in the also receive votes category in football.
Did I skip them?
You might have.
No, 76.
Oh,
76.
No. Now we got to fire Mike White.
Yeah. How about I was looking at Gonzaga yesterday, and Andrew Nemhard, who was at Florida, is on. Remember, he transferred to Gonzaga.
Goodness.
Yeah, he did transfer. Yeah, didn't he lead? Did he lead Gonzaga yesterday?
He's one of their better players.
Yeah. So anyway, where's UCF? Anyway, I got to get marked. Could that be? Are these? Am I looking at some outdated recruiting rankings? Could that be it?
Well, maybe. We'll look into it.
It says 2021 basketball team rankings, has the number of commitments, all of that. So, wow. Anyway, all right, straight ahead, we're going to get into more Howard Schnellenberger talk, more NCAA tournament talk. What a joke it is that Howard Schnellenberger, by the way, not in the College Football Hall of Fame. That's next on Open Mic.
More Open Mic up next.
put the pedal to the floor. It's loud and live and local. Oh, time for open mic.
Welcome back to Open Mic. I'm Mike Bianchi, the Bulldog sports columnist of the Orlando Sentinel, joined as always by Adam Reardon. He's the deceptive intellect. Austin Pastolka is the Sultan of Sound.
Yeah.
Together we are Open Mic, the troika of sports talk radio excellence in the megalopolis we know as Central Florida. Sad day over the weekend on Saturday. Howard Schnellenberger, the Miami Hurricanes icon, the coaching legend, passed away over the weekend at the age of 87. I wrote a column in the Orlando Sentinel. You can go read that at orlandosentinel.com if you like.
Plug.
Thank you. He was, again, Howard Schnellenberger was a pioneer in state of, not just state of Florida college football. He was a pioneer in college football. He took over that Miami program in 1979, and you got, again, I don't really remember how bad it was, but it was bad, all right? It was so bad, and I was reading some stories over the weekend. It was bankrupt. They were bankrupt. They had no money. The fan base still isn't great, but they had absolutely no fan base back then, and school administrators were talking about shutting down the program because it was a money loser, and they didn't have the money to spend on it. Miami's not a big public institution of higher learning, obviously. They weren't in a big league back then with all the TV money. They were an independent, and they were having to put out a lot of money for a bad football program, and they were talking about shutting it down. Well, here comes Howard Schnellenberger. Here comes Howard Schnellenberger in 1979, and then 5 years later, he was in the national championship game. The Miracle in Miami, January 2nd, 1984. It was I vividly remember watching that game on TV, and nobody gave the Hurricanes a chance in that game. They were playing the big bad Nebraska Stampede, the big red machine. They were a road grader. They were going to roll over those little fast guys that Miami had. Well, something happened that night, all right? Miami jumped out to a lead. Nebraska had to play comeback, and they did. They came back, all right. They came back and made it 31-30 with I think there were 48 seconds left in the game. And Tom Osborne, give him credit for being gutsy. I don't give him credit for being very smart, all right? But give him credit for being gutsy. Tom Osborne, the iconic coach of Nebraska, he decided, you know what? We're Nebraska. We're going to go for two in the win instead of the tie in the national championship. So he goes for two, and here's what happened.
A touchdown now. It's a 31-30 game. And what does Nebraska do?
I have not seen the kicker come on the field, and I don't think he's coming on the field. And I think that they've got things going their way. Tom Osborne made this decision a long time ago. Don't think that this situation caught him by surprise. He's decided to go for two and take his shot and win, and I commend him for it.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska. I'll tell you this. Tom Osborne in Nebraska could have had the national championship in all probability with an extra point that would have tied it. They'd have still finished unbeaten. But courage was so evident there. The integrity of Nebraska football and that whole state was on the line. They gambled and lost, but they're certainly to be given great credit for trying.
for trying to lose the national championship. Yeah. It was a courageous call on Tom Osborne's part. I'll give him that. But Miami's Kenny Calhoun, famous play, he batted down Turner Gill's two-point conversion pass. It was incomplete. Miami pulls off one of the greatest upsets in college football history. And again, it was the first national title in state of Florida history. Howard Schnellenberger had the program poised to become a dynasty, which it did become, by the way. But Howard ended up leaving. By the way, here was Bernie Kosar, the quarterback of that Miami National Championship team, in the postgame lauding Snellenberger, sort of lobbying for Miami to win the national championship. And then Snellenberger talks during the postgame as well.
Well, I guess it's up to the polls, but I'd say in my heart, we're number one.
Okay, Bernie Kosar.
That's the greatest coach right there.
Howard, come on over, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, when you spoke of this game, you spoke in terms not only of it being an important football game, but in terms of community.
Well, I think you could see out there in that stadium tonight what it really meant to this community and how totally involved and totally committed they were to this game tonight. This has been a love affair that's been developing for 5 years. And tonight was the fulfillment of a dream that, I say fulfillment, it might just be the beginning of a dream.
The beginning of a dream. Howard Schnellenberger ended up leaving after that. We all know the story. If you're a college football historian, he left to join the USFL, the fledgling football league. He was going to coach the Miami team in that league, and turns out that they decided to move to the fall, the USFL, at the behest of persuasive New Jersey Generals owner Donald Trump. So they announced they were shifting to a fall schedule to compete with the NFL. The owner of the Washington franchise, which was relocating to Miami and hiring Howard Schnellenberger as the coach, the GM, and the part owner. Well, the owner of the Washington franchise says, wait a minute, I'm not going to go down to Miami and compete with the Dolphins. So they ended up moving the team to Orlando as the Orlando Renegades. Howard Schnellenberger did not follow them to Orlando, ended up quitting before he was ever paid by the USFL, and ended up at Louisville a year later, coaching the Louisville Cardinals. So that's the story of Howard Schnellenberger. Let's pause for station identification.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach. We are football. We are FM 96.9, The Game. Bianchi is about to detonate.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
It's time for the Bianchi Blast.
That's right.
Bianchi Blast.
Oh, wow, this is the old one.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even realize it. Yes, this is the old, we're throwing it back on a Monday.
Throwback Monday?
Yeah, Throwback Monday. It totally makes sense. The Blast brought to you by Frank Gay Services. If you need an electrician or a plumber, you need them right now, go to frankgayservices.com. They will hook you up. Remember, you can vote on all these topics over on Twitter at 969thegame. We'll start off with the open mic thought-provoking daily poll. With the passing of Miami Hurricanes legend Howard Schnellenberger over the weekend, who is the most impactful college football coach in Sunshine State history? Is it Howard Schnellenberger, Bobby Bowden, Steve Spurrier, or Jake Gaither?
Jake Gaither, of course, the former Florida A&M head coach in the days before integration, when Florida A&M was the preeminent black college powerhouse. They won many national championships. You remember Jake Gaither's famous quote about his teams? My teams are agile, mobile, and hostile. That's what Jake Gaither once said about his teams. That was way back when the Bulldogs not even old enough to remember Jake Gaither as a head coach. I'm gonna go modern era here. I'm gonna go Bobby Bowden. As much as I'd like to go Steve Spurrier, I'm gonna go Bobby Bowden. He should be the winningest coach in major college history. Joe Paterno had some of his wins stripped away during the Jerry Sandusky scandal, but they ended up giving those wins back to Joe Paterno. Bobby Bowden, similarly to Howard Schnellenberger, took over a downtrodden, dilapidated program at Florida State and turned them into a modern-day dynasty, except Bobby decided he was going to stay at Florida State. He had chances to leave as well, but he made the right decision and stayed at Florida State. And Bobby Bowden, in my opinion, is the most impactful college football coach in state of Florida history.
I'm going to go with Snellenberger because he did do this one thing. He made it cool to keep the best in-state talent home in the state of Florida at Miami first. Because remember, a lot of those guys would end up at Oklahoma,
or Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan, and they would leave the state for bigger college football programs. He at least made a football program inside the state worthy of sticking around for, and then Florida State followed suit, and then Florida as well, and. Now Alabama gets whoever they want from wherever they want. But at one point, it was really tough to come into the state of Florida and get a kid away from those three schools.
With 52% of the vote, Bobby Bowden wins this one.
Who was second?
Second was Steve Spurrier with 37%.
Public schools.
Maybe we should have put Scott Frost in there or George O'Leary.
Yeah. Sure. Supplemental poll number 1. Even though Howard Schnellenberger won only 51% of his games, should he be in the College Football Hall of Fame? Yes or no?
Austin, what do you have to say about that?
Let me tell you exactly what I think about that.
I want winners.
Technically, he is a winner. He did win 51% of the games.
That's right.
You want to know what a joke the College Football Hall of Fame is, all right? Dennis Erickson's eligible for the College Football Hall of Fame, but Howard Schnellenberger is not. Why is Howard Schnellenberger not eligible? Because the Hall of Fame changed their criteria a few years ago, which said you have to win at least 51% of your games as a college football head coach. There's a reason Howard Schnellenberger only won 51% of his games. All right, the criteria was you had to win at least 60%. There's a reason Howard only won 51%, okay? And that reason is because he took over downtrodden programs like Miami, like Louisville, like FAU, which was essentially didn't even have a program at a commuter school, and he built it from scratch. It's a joke if Dennis Erickson is eligible for the Hall of Fame and Howard Schnellenberger is not.
Schnellenberger built the program. Dennis Erickson tried his best to ruin it. Okay,
right?
No, there's no question about it. Here's the big difference and why one guy's going to get in and the other one's not. One guy followed Lou Saban and the other guy followed Jimmy Johnson. Yeah. Dennis Erickson got to show up, and he's like, Jimmy Johnson brought all these guys in? Fantastic. I'll win a national championship.
Was Lou Saban the coach?
I think it was Lou Saban right before Schnellenberger. It was either him or maybe Andy Gustafson or something. My point is, he didn't take over after Jimmy Johnson had packed the cupboards with more NFL football players.
What are you talking about? Schnellenberger had to follow Saban for crying out loud.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, Lou Saban, not Nick. Okay, never mind.
75% of the vote says yes, he should be in the College Football Hall of Fame. Supplemental poll number 2, did watching new Chicago Bulls center Nikola Vuchevich getting emotional when talking about what Orlando and the Orlando Magic meant to him get you a little choked up and misty-eyed? Yes or no?
Okay, we're gonna play that clip again, maybe next segment. But yeah. In fact, when we play it again next segment, I will get choked up and misty-eyed again. I've seen this clip or this video like 4 or 5 times, and every time I watch it, every time I watch Josh Robbins of The Athletic asked new Bulls center Nick Vuchevich his feelings about Orlando, and Vuch just gets emotional. His voice starts cracking. Maybe I'm just getting sentimental in my old age, but yes, I get a lump in my throat when I watch that. Sorry, guys. Call me an old softy.
All right, old softy. I do not get verklempt as I watch that video. Yeah, listen, hey, guy had a great run here in Orlando, and listen, it makes it sound like he can never come back and see his old friends. He's an NBA basketball player. He got the entire offseason, enough money to fly back and forth. If you miss your friends, just fly them up there. What are you talking about? Fly your kids' classmates up there. Hey, everybody, we're going to Chuck E. Cheese, but up here in Chicago.
51% of the vote says yes, they do get misty-eyed.
See?
keep off the road in the next segment so that you don't cause an accident on I-4.
Supplemental poll number 3. When new Denver Nuggets forward Aaron Gordon said he is relieved to be part of a, quote, great organization, was he taking a shot at the Orlando Magic, yes or no?
First of all, I want to refute something Austin put on Twitter, all right? So we talked about this earlier when we were handing out our game balls and goof balls, all right? So, obviously I gave a game ball to Vooch for getting emotional, but a lot of Magic fans were ripping Aaron Gordon on social media saying, hey, he's taking a shot at the Magic. He's, all of this stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not going to give him a goofball for that. But here's what Austin Pistolka headline he wrote. Fans want to give Aaron Gordon a goofball, but Bianchi wants to give him a game ball. Nowhere did I say that Aaron Gordon deserved a game ball. I just said he did not deserve a goofball for those comments. And we'll play those comments maybe next segment as well. So, Austin, this headline is inaccurate.
Oh, no. If you're saying he doesn't deserve a goofball, there's only one other option then.
No.
Just saying.
Adam, your thoughts?
No, I think he says, listen, it's not so bad that he deserves the goofball. He certainly doesn't deserve a game ball for his comments, but these weren't so bad. I disagree with him, though, because I do think it was a shot. I think it was a definite shot. I'm excited.
Not saying it wasn't even a shot, but shot deserved, perhaps.
Well, I would say that, again, I mean, he has to look within, because part of the problem with this organization was that they couldn't count on Aaron Gordon to score 16 points a night. Just wasn't going to happen. He'd score 30 one night. We'd all get excited, and guess what he'd do the next 2 nights? 5, 7, 8. Yeah, no. So, I mean, you know what? Jeff Weltman should come out and should be standing right next to Otto Porter Jr. and go, it's great, nice to have a great player here finally. I mean, that would be a shot at Aaron Gordon. It's nice to have a great player at the small forward position finally. But yeah, no, it was definitely a shot, and goofball worthy. It's not U.S. national team U23 goofball worthy, but
87% of the vote says yes.
Definite shot.
Definite shot. Supplemental poll number 4: will respected FSU basketball coach Leonard Hamilton get to a Final Four before he retires? Yes or no?
Well, he's 72 years old, but he did just sign a new contract extension. Obviously, if you were judging by yesterday's performance against Michigan, you would say no. But I'm telling you, Florida State probably would have been in the Final Four last year with that team. They get to the Sweet 16 this year. We just talked about the recruiting classes, and he has the number 2 ranked recruiting class coming in next year. He has recruiting rolling right now like he's never had it at Florida State. And when you look at some of the other programs in the ACC, North Carolina, Roy Williams getting old, Duke, Mike Krzyzewski getting old. Leonard Hamilton may be 72 years old, but he looks like he's about 42. Those other guys look like they're getting old. I'm going to go, yes, Leonard Hamilton does make it to the Final Four.
Leonard Hamilton's the Benjamin Button of college coaches.
Dick Clark.
Yeah, you look at it. It says he's getting older, but I'm looking at him. It looks like he's getting younger. And not only is he getting younger, but he's now developed the ability to recruit McDonald's. That's a young man's game. That is a young man's game. This guy is getting younger, and I am. Stamp it right now. Next year, once we've all gotten our vaccines, the numbers are down, we get back to normalcy, Florida State back to where they were last year, poised, ready for their Final Four run. They make it next season.
Yeah, I like it. 64% of the vote says no. It ain't happening. And finally, the open mic would you rather poll. Would you rather date someone with bad credit history or a criminal record?
Oh my God.
Now, how long ago was the criminal record?
It's in the past, It's not like they're fresh out of jail by any means. It's in the past.
Is it bad? Is it like just writing bad? Is it like serious criminal history, like violent?
They're a felon.
There's a lot of felonies out
You're
there.
You're correct.
White collar, blue collar.
Listen, I'm putting it that. They are a felon.
I'm gonna go. Now, does the criminal have
like an ankle monitor?
Credit?
You want to go on a date with some chick with an ankle monitor,
does she
right?
have good credit?
Yeah, she does have good. Oddly
She
enough,
doesn't need good credit, Mike. She robbed a bank, and the money is buried in the backyard. She needs no credit.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the criminal because the one with the bad credit is probably gonna ask you for money at some point. So I'm gonna go with the criminal record.
I'm definitely going with the criminal record. You know what I mean? Prone to some poor decision making. Seemed like a little bit of a wild one. All right.
With 80% of the vote, they're taking the bad credit.
You notice how I also monetize that question, Austin.
I can't believe it. Of course you monetize every single question.
She's going to ask me for money. I'll take the criminal.
Oh, she's bad with money? Oh, sorry, babe.
All right, straight ahead, we're going to make you cry. Nick Vuchevich is sad about leaving Orlando, but Aaron Gordon, he couldn't be happier. We'll talk about that next on Open Mic.
Bianchi's got to get a quick workout in.
Tom, you are.
Okay, if you are driving right now and you get emotional, you might want to pull over because I'm getting ready to play you the Nikola Vuchevich clip, all right? So Vuch, of course, traded last week. Obviously, there are a lot of Magic fans who were upset with trading the two-time All-Star. Vuch, as everybody knows, loved it here in Orlando, often talked about how much pride he took in wearing the Magic uniform and representing the city of Orlando. I got to tell you, those feelings clearly showed on Saturday. All right, so here's what went down. So Vuch reports to the Bulls, where he was traded to. The Bulls are playing in San Antonio. All right. So they have a shoot-around before the game, and after the shoot-around, Vuch is made available to reporters on a Zoom call. Well, during this Zoom interview, I want you to listen to Vuch's emotional response when Josh Robbins, who covers the Magic for The Athletic, he asked him about his feeling about leaving Orlando. And again, if you haven't seen the video, the audio doesn't really do it justice. You really need to go watch the video and the emotion that Vuch showed. We obviously can't play a video on the radio. But anyway, here's what the audio sounded like.
I know you're excited to be in Chicago and join the Bulls. That's obvious. But could you describe, if it exists, any element of sadness to be moving on from Orlando?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm getting emotional now, but like I said, when I was, when I wrote that text, it was very difficult for me to do that, but it was just, sorry. I mean, to me, the hardest part was just, to me, the hardest part was just the people. I mean, over 9 years, you're going to meet a lot of, great people, and that was just the hardest for me, just leaving, that place. Obviously, it meant a lot to me, and like I said, I came there as a kid, left as a man, so I guess you guys know the answer with my reaction, but it's just leaving that place for so many years obviously was hard.
Okay. And it's happening again, guys. I get choked up when I listen. Vuch was literally getting choked up. All right, we know how hard-hearted Adam Reardon is. He says he didn't get even the least bit choked up or missed. Yeah, Austin Pistolke, you seem, being the young millennial that you are, that you might be a little bit more emotional than that. Did you get choked up at all when you're watching that video and watching Vuch taking deep breaths and drinking water to try to compose himself?
I definitely felt I don't know what the right word is. Empathy, sympathy.
A pang? A pang?
Yeah, I felt something there because you don't see that in pro sports today. You don't see people really stick around and want to be in a place and then to wear the emotion on your sleeve like that. I mean, you have to feel something when you watch this because it just doesn't happen these days.
Unless you're old hard-hearted Adam Reardon, doesn't feel anything.
The macho,
he tried too. I mean,
Mr. Machismo.
Vuch really tried too. It was like, I came there a boy and I became a man. And it was like,
he did.
What do you do? Like, is he writing a movie trailer for his life or something?
Yeah.
He came to Orlando
you're
as
such
a boy.
Cynic. What a
Left
cynic.
a man.
You are a hard-hearted cynic is all you are. All right, let's juxtapose that with, all right, I'll play you guys the Aaron Gordon clip now. Now, he addressed the media over the weekend for the first time since he joined the Denver Nuggets after being traded by the Magic last week, and he spoke pretty bluntly about being dealt from Orlando, saying that he was relieved to be a part of a great organization. Listen to Aaron Gordon.
It's been real stressful. It's just a huge relief to be a part of a great organization. And I'm just happy that I found a new home. It was tough. Like, I was just so ready to pick up my phone from my agent, So any call I would get, regardless of who it was, I was thinking I was being traded.
Okay, so a lot of Magic fans on social media took umbrage with those remarks, especially the part where he said it's a huge relief to be a part of a great organization. Again, stop it, people. Aaron Gordon was trying to commend his new team. He wasn't ripping the Magic, all right? He was just saying, hey, it's a huge relief to be a part of a great organization. I think what he's saying is, hey, I got traded to a team that was in the Western Conference Finals last year. I didn't get traded to the Sacramento Kings. I think that's what he was saying. I don't think he was taking a shot at the Orlando Magic. So, again, Magic fans need to get over that. Aaron Gordon was here for 7 years. He deserves to be commended for what he did for the franchise.
What?
As well. Yeah, he does.
Why?
Because, again, you can say Aaron Gordon never panned out as the quote-unquote superstar that some Magic fans thought he would become. He was the number 4 overall draft pick. It wasn't like he was a surefire superstar when he was coming out of college at Arizona, and he came into a sort of a nonsensical organization. I mean, good Lord, Rob Hennigan was going through the rebuild. He's been through 4 or 5 different head coaches since he was here, so it's not all Aaron Gordon's fault, the reason he didn't turn into an all-star, in my opinion. So that's what I'm saying. He stuck it out for 7 years without really complaining, did he not?
I mean, yeah, but every single year we talked about trading.
We
Aaron.
did.
Well, but that just goes to show that we didn't care about Aaron Gordon, so why should we commend him? Because we were apathetic towards him at best. I
commend any player who stays with an organization for 7 years, 7 mostly losing years, by the way, about 150 games below 500 during Aaron Gordon's 7 years. I commend any guy who sticks through that and doesn't complain. And Aaron Gordon didn't complain until the end when he requested the trade.
So we need to commend anyone who's been a Sacramento King. We need to commend there's so many teams in the NBA that you could say the exact same thing for.
Yeah, but we don't cover those teams.
Yeah,
we cover the Magic.
Yeah, great.
Cool. I don't know who's been on the Sacramento Kings for 7 years. Otherwise, I probably would commend them. All right. All right, straight ahead, we'll get Mark Daniels' thoughts on the NCAA basketball tournament. Is Florida State a program built to last? And